Hi, my name is Catherine Nudera. I am a third grade teacher at Ranch View Elementary School. And at this school, my students' native language is English. So I'm not currently teaching in a bilingual school. So I have English speakers in my classroom. And today I'm going to be talking you through a unit teaching homophones. So my unit objectives and standards, the standards are for third grade. As I mentioned, I teach third grade. They're to consult reference materials, including beginning dictionaries as needed to check and correct spellings, recognize and observe differences between conventions of spoken and written standard English, use sentence level context as a clue to the meaning of a word or phrase. And the objectives that I have for this unit are I can use words that sound the same and are spelled differently with different meanings in a sentence. I can show knowledge of homophones by using them both verbally and in written form. I can use context clues to determine the definition of words that sound the same and are spelled differently. All right, and then next I have my materials. So right now I'm just showing you them, but I will go into more detail. I have a few different worksheets here, and then here are a few additional ones. All right. So on day one, I'm going to introduce what a homophone is. So I'm going to start doing that by defining for the students what a homophone is. And they're going to use this worksheet, which helps them at the very beginning with guided notes. They are going to fill in the blank parts of the definition of homophones, which is homophones are words that sound alike but have different spellings and meanings. The Greek root homo means same and phone means sound. After we have discussed what this definition is, I'm going to have the students turn and talk in their tables about other homophones that they know. As you can see on this worksheet, there are 6 examples. So I'm going to have them discuss if they know any others in addition to the ones on this worksheet. So that's just our introduction day to the unit. And then on day 2, we're going to go ahead and begin teaching homophones by reading 2 mentor texts, and I have them linked here. They are Dear Dear and The King Who Reigned. You could choose to do this as a physical book, or you can use the online books provided. And then these go along with this worksheet. So I'm going to start by having the students listen to these read alouds, and then they're going to discuss what homophones they heard in the book. I'll do it at the end of each book, not at the end of both. And then I'm going to give them directions on how to complete this worksheet. So their goal is, if there are 14 questions and there are, in parentheses at the end of each question, 2 homophones, and they need to decide which of the 2 homophones fits in the blank. And I have the answers there at the bottom if you wanted to use this on your own in your own class. I'm going to allow them to do this with partners, and then when they are done with the worksheet, they're going to find another set of partners who's also done to check their work. All right, and then on day 3, I'm going to it's going to consist of students giving the opportunity to work in partners to write definitions for multiple homophones. So again, this is partner work. I'm going to give them this list of homophones. So now this is their 3rd day. They're familiar. They're not coming up with the homophones themselves, but they're going to tell me what they mean. And then as you see on this slide as well, I have some examples. So that first one, 2, 2, and 2, TO2 indicates the direction of something. I'm going to the park. TOO, in addition to or more than what is wanted. So used as the same as the word also, and then TWO, meaning the number. So they're going to use their own words as a partnership to define what these ones mean. They're going to go through the entire list. And then when they are all done with that, they are going to go ahead and check their work with their partners. All right, and then on day 4, this is going to be the last day prior to assessments. This is going to be an independent worksheet. They're going to work and show their knowledge of homophones, their meanings by creating sentences with 1 or more homophones in them. So there is the top 3. There's a word that they need to write a sentence using, so flower, doe, and flea. They also need to include a picture. The goal of this is to try to get them to use the correct definition. So flower meaning the plant versus flour, the item you bake with. They need to use a sentence using the plant definition. And then that second half, they need to create sentences that have both of the homophones in them and used correctly. So for example, I see the sea is out to the east, using both words in the sentence they create. And then after this day 4, we're going to move on to day 5, which is the unit assessment. what they are going to do is they're going to create a fictional story using a minimum of 5 homophones, which means that if, for example, they use C and C, they need to use both forms and that would count as one of the homophones. So 5 homophone pairs or trios, like 2, for example. And the students are going to be graded on their ability to spell homophones correctly, as well as using the one in the correct content. So you can see here, I actually did do something similar in my own 3rd grade classroom. This is one of my students' work where she made a story using homophones. You can see the first one, the sun was shining, the birds are shining, me, my son, and my daughter were drawing. So she used sun, and sun is her first homophone. She has ant and ant, deer and deer, flower and flower, 8 and 8, 2, 2 and 2. So this is just an example of what it could look like, but as long as they're having 5 pairs or trios of homophones, they're using them correctly with the correct spelling, because that does indicate which definition you're using, then they are considered to have received a grade level appropriate assessment. And then my final slide here is just my works cited. Some of the worksheets that I used, I found on Teachers Pay Teachers, and then I also referred to the Common Core State